Hi, my name's Eric with Brunswick Firearms. Today we're going to be doing a quick overview and the unboxing of the Taurus G2C 9mm. So right here we have it in front of us. As you can see, it just comes in a standard cardboard box, nothing fancy. So let's go ahead and open up and see what we got. Front flap open. So right out the gate, looks like they have a stop and read. This is in reference to their warranty, which is a limited lifetime warranty. So that is phenomenal. That's great. So it's not just a year or two. This is a lifetime warranty. One thing I want to point out here, Smith & Wesson is one that does it, and apparently Taurus is doing it as well. You can see on here, try to make it so you can see it on the camera, you do need to activate your warranty immediately. I don't know, well, let's see, it probably tells us on here. Yes, so you have 30 days from the date of purchase, so be sure that you get your receipt from wherever you purchase your gun from that shows the date that you bought it, because you probably most likely are going to have to upload it when you go to Taurus's website to activate the warranty. And on this slip right in here is the website address that you would activate the warranty at. So be sure you do that. And of course there is the manual, and we'll take a look at that a little later. And of course a lock, which is great for safety features. And this one's in a Ziploc bag, so I'll be able to open this up and actually show you how to use it. In the meantime, let's set this to the side. Looks like we have two magazines. Both of them have the finger extension. So they're both the same. They're both 12 rounds. So we'll go ahead and just put that back in the box. The first thing I want to do, of course, is safety. Let's make sure our firearm is unloaded. So let's go ahead and drop the magazine. The magazine does have a pretty good spring. I'll show you. So it pops out pretty fast. So that's nice little spring in there. So it is clear. Let's go ahead. You can see there is a safety device here into the chamber that's showing that it is unloaded. That is very typical for firearms to be shipped with those. But let's go ahead and open it up. We'll get it out. Go ahead and lock the slide in place. And we'll go ahead and just pull that out and set it to the side here. The slide release is on the left-hand side, as you can see right here. So we'll go ahead and we're going to close her back down. We'll see how hard it is. Oh, so it's very easy. I do like the slide release. So I literally did not have to put no back pressure on that slide to release the tension, so we can slide the slide release downwards. This one actually did it. I'll show you again. I'm going to try to keep a little bit because I don't want this slamming shut real hard, because you can do some damage to the firearm. But let's go ahead. Yeah, so I do love the slide release. It's very smooth. Looks like as far as the safety, there is a manual safety on this one. You can see it right here. One downside is it's only on one side, so it is not ambidextrous. This is set up totally for a right-handed person. As you can see, just above it, there's a little red dot. I don't know if you can see it, but that's showing that it's ready to fire. When you push it up, it puts the safety in place and it covers that red dot up. Let's see if we can see it again. See if we get a view on it. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is a little red dot. When you can see the red dot, that means it is ready to fire. If it's covered up and the safety is pushed upwards covering that red dot, then it is not ready to fire. It is safety. So let's go ahead. We'll leave the magazine now. Actually, let's go ahead. I want to see what the trigger pull is on this gun before we take the slide off. So this particular gun, this model is double action. So I only have to put one of the snap caps in, where in previous videos I had to put two in, because when we pull the trigger to see what the trigger pull is and the weight of it versus the reset position of the trigger when we're letting it back out for rapid fire, I would have to re-rack it, which would eject the snap cap. So that's why we had to have two loaded in some of the previous videos. This one we only have to do one because this is double action. So I just want to get one in the chamber to prevent that firing pin from having damage from dry firing it. You can damage a firing pin in a firearm if you constantly sit there and dry fire your gun. I know I speak about these a lot. I use them all the time. Of course, they're snap caps. They're spring loaded on the inside, so when the firing pin hits the back of the bullet, that spring absorbs all of that pressure of the firing pin's momentum coming forward, so it absorbs it to prevent damage to it. So let's go ahead and put it in. So it is a very tough spring. I've been seeing that a lot lately in magazines. That is a really hard, really stiff spring in that. All right, so let's go ahead and load her up. We're gonna rack it and get her in there. So we have one in there. It's not a true flat trigger, but it kind of resembles a flat trigger. I like the flat triggers, but this one does have the safety, kind of like the Glocks have the trigger safety. I'm not sure if you can see it, but right here there's a part in the trigger that sticks out, and basically when you pull the trigger, your finger would it pushes and engages the trigger to be able to fire. So it's an additional safety. So you have the thumb safety on this model plus the trigger safety on there. So let's go ahead and dry fire this thing. We do have our snap cap in there, and let's see how long this trigger pull is and how hard of a pull it is. Again, just like in other videos, I'm going to try to hold it a little close so you can hear it when the firing pin goes off. So here we go. All right. So the trigger pull itself is very easy until you hit the break point for the firing pin. Once you hit that break point for the fire pin to be released to fire, there is a lot of resistance there. It's not horrible. It's not bad. I would say the trigger pull is actually for a budget gun. The trigger pull is actually pretty nice. It's not too long either. It's medium pull. But let's see what the reset is on this thing. So we're going to let it back out again. I'm going to keep it here close to the camera so you can hopefully hear it when it resets. So let's see where the reset mark is for rapid fire. So here we go. So that you could hear it when it did it. Although it did reset, you still have to come all the way out. So let's try that again. So there was the break. Let's see where the reset is. So the first time when we did that, you could hear a small click. I am not sure what that was. That was not the reset because it would not fire until the trigger was completely out where you could hear the reset. So I'm not quite sure what that was. It could have been the way my finger was on this, the trigger safety there. Maybe when it was coming out and I was leaving pressure on it, maybe that's what we heard. But I'm gonna do it one more time. So let's do the pull. Fairly short, not too long. It's not real short. It's got a little bit of pull, but it's not really long at all. It's really not. So okay, so let's do the release for the reset. Here we go again. So yes, the trigger is almost completely out. So the trigger pull itself is not that long, but the reset is long. Basically, the trigger must be completely out to get a second fire off. So rapid fire, it's going to slow it down a little bit when you're trying to do a rapid fire with this firearm. So let's go ahead and get that out. I'm going to remove this magazine. I still have the snap cap in here, so let's get it out. We'll put it away, put it in there. The sights is just a standard 3-dot sight. You can see. Nothing fancy, not night sights. It looks like, so it has the fixed front sight. It does have where you can adjust the rear sight for windage for left and right. You cannot do elevation, but you can see in here that it has the screw. You can actually adjust this for left or right for windage. So that's pretty neat. It does have a placement here for your knuckle right here on the bottom side. There is a divot here on the grip, which I like. There's also one on the other side for your thumb placement. So that actually makes it really nice. Let me put the magazine in. So with the finger extension, you can get all 3 fingers on your grip. The grip does have some texture. There is also a lot of smoothness. So kind of mixed feelings about that as far as the grip. It's a nice grip. It's comfortable. It's curved nicely. I mean, it actually feels really good in your hand, especially for a budget gun. There's not a whole lot of texture there for grip, but I will tell you this texture is pretty it's pretty stout. So it's actually, even though there's a lot of smoothness on this grip, just a little texture that they have, it actually gives a lot of grip. So kind of impressed with that. It's kind of neat. I do like the front side as well. Mag release. Mag release is on the left hand side. Obviously, as I said before earlier in the video, that this is completely a right-hander's gun. It's set up for a right-hander. There is nothing ambidextrous about it. There is a Picatinny rail on the front, as you can see right here. Little Picatinny rail, so if you want to put yourself a laser on there or a flashlight or a combo. This particular model is not optic ready, so you could not put a red dot on there on this model. So let's go ahead and let's take the slide off and see what she looks like on the inside. So it looks like it's kind of, I've got 2 little notches here. I've got one here and one on the other side. So it's kind of like the Glocks. I kind of take my hand, I put my thumb up underneath, you can see to the top of it, and I put my fingers on top just in front of the sights on the slide, and I'm going to kind of, you can see it, I'm going to kind of pull it back just a little bit like that. You can see I pull it back just a little bit. Once that happens, those 2 notches on both sides, right here, and one on the other side, right here, kind of hard to do it on the camera. Both of those I'm going to slide downwards, and then I'm going to let go of that slide, and this slide will pull forward. So again, put my thumb up underneath, wrap my fingers across the top of the slide in front of the sights. I'm going to pull back just a little bit like that. I'm going to push both of those tabs downwards. That should release it. You do have to dry fire it, and then it will come forward. And of course I didn't do it well enough, so let's try it one more time. We're going to pull back, push both of those down, pull forward, fire, and she'll come off. So there you go. Now we have the slide off from the frame. So it gets a little, you got to get used to it the way that is. It's really not hard. It's a little difficult trying to show you on the camera. So hopefully you can kind of see how that works. Because a lot of folks I do see with the Taurus G2s and with the Glocks, a lot of them have a hard time trying to learn how to remove the slide off the top. So again, you do have to dry fire it. Once you pull it back, you do have to dry fire it to get all that out of the way so the slide will come off. Now, one thing you'll notice in here, and I'll see if you can see it in here, down in where the firing pin is, there's a little, you can see a little red. And what that is, hopefully you can see that, I'm not sure if you can, but basically what it is, it encapsulates the firing pin and spring and all that stuff in here. So it is made out of plastic. So that is one thing when you're dealing with lower budget guns like that. Although it is a good gun, don't get me wrong. It's my opinion, this is probably one of the best budget guns out there. But you do have parts like that is made of plastic that you're going to have to deal with because they will wear down faster than something that was made out of steel or aluminum or you know, some kind of metal. Let's go ahead and I'm going to pull the guide rod and the spring, which is here. Take note that the spring here is smaller diameter than this top front portion. So we're going to push to relieve the tension. We kind of push it towards the front of the barrel, and then that will come right out. You can see here, barrel just lifts up and comes out. It has a pretty long ramp to feed the ammo into the chamber there. It's pretty long there. It's actually really smooth. When you feel it, it's texture wise, it's buffed out really nice and clean, really smooth. They look like they come a little dry, so I definitely would lube the firearm up before I shot it, especially where the slide rides on the frame. All right, so to put this back together, we're going to take our slide, we're going to turn it upside down so the hollow side is upwards. We're going to take the barrel, put it back in with these notched areas are upwards, so it's going to go in just like that. It's going to sit in place just like that. Again, remember the spring, the front side where my fingers are holding it is wider than the spring back here. So the wider part is going to go towards the front of the barrel. We'll stick it in that hole right there and just push forward a little bit, and she'll sit down in there, and that'll hold everything in place just like that. So set that back down. Bottom portion, again, very dry, so I would probably definitely would put some lube in here, especially where the slide, like I said, is riding on the rails of the frame. Again, the frame itself is polymer. The barrel and the slide are both steel, so that's where all your weight is up top. The bottom portion is very light. I'm not for sure what the weight is of these, but I would probably say they're over 18 ounces, maybe close to 19 ounces it feels like. So definitely over a pound this firearm weighs with no ammo in it. So, but yeah, it looks pretty nice. Nice work. All right, let's go ahead and put the slide back on. So on the Taurus G2C, I don't know, in some of the previous videos you may have noticed the firearm frame has the rails that the slide rides on are a lot longer. On here, it's really short. So basically you've got a little bit of rail here, about the width of my finger where it's laid across right here. And then you don't have any more rail until the very back here. So there is no rail in between here. So it's very little holding that slide on, which is kind of amazing. But it works. Like I said, this is, to me, one of the best budget guns out there. I don't know how many of these we have sold, but it has been a lot. Everybody that has bought them has truly loved these firearms. So, you know, don't let that scare you away about the rail being so short, because I'm telling you, these are great guns. All right, so to put it back on, we got the rails, we got the 2 notches right here on our slide. So those notches are going to have to, right here on the bottom, those rails are going to line up just like that. So they fell right in place there. We're going to slide it all the way back. So one thing here, the mechanism right here, hopefully you can see that right here. Make sure that lines up. There's a little hole or a little spot right here. I'll pull it completely off so you can see. You can see how it's kind of notched out right in here. So that piece right here has to go inside of that notched piece. So make sure you eyeball that when you're pushing in, line it up, because if you don't, it'll hit the back of your slide and eventually it'll damage it, and also it'll scar up the back of your slide. So we got her in there. Let's go ahead. At that point, all you're going to do is pull it back like you rack it. And what we're going to do is put a snap cap in. There's none, since this is spring loaded, where we press those tabs down to remove it. So when you push it back, there's nothing you got to pop back in place. It'll automatically go back where it's supposed to be. Let's go ahead and load a snap cap back in this firearm. And let's go ahead and chamber it. And we're going to dry fire. Yes, so we are working. Then we can go ahead and remove. We'll drop that back out. So we got our snap cap back out. Put her back in there. But overall, these guns are very good. Love them. Let me go over and show you how that lock works, because this is actually the Ziploc bag, so I can literally open this up and put it back. The other ones I couldn't, because these are firearms that are brand new when they come in, that we do in the overviews with. So these actually either are customer guns already, or they are going to be going on the shelf for sale. So here's our safety lock, the 2 keys that come on it. See if we can do it with it still on. You're gonna put it in the keyhole, turn. All right, there we go. So let me pull these keys off and make it a little easier. So you can see when you unlock it, one side of the cable comes out of the lock, and you have 2 ways to do this. We're going to take the slide, push it back, lock it in place with the slide lock. You can run it. I'm not sure if this one's going to be long enough to go the other way, but we'll try it this way first. So you're going to feed it down the, or I'm sorry, actually it's easier when you go through the barrel this way, through the chamber, comes out the barrel, and of course you would lock it so your firearm would be unable to be loaded and used. The other way to go, if it's long enough, I don't know, we'll see, remove. You can actually go back down through the chamber, come out the bottom down here, through the mag well, which it does work that way as well. That's the way I kind of like it. Some people like the other way. I don't know, I just, for some reason, I kind of like it this way. So that's how I would lock them up. So, fairly easy. You can also get trigger locks for these where it squeezes over the trigger guard and basically closes this whole hole in right here, just like that, so you wouldn't be able to access the trigger. So, but all right, overall, I would, this gun, I would not be afraid to put my money on it and buy one. They're great guns. Like I said, we have sold a lot of these firearms, and the customers seem to love them. They come in all kinds of different colors, the 2 tones just like this one, some are solid color. You get them in all kinds of different colors. But anyways, so I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you do enjoy the videos, the biggest thank you that we can get is, our appreciation is to subscribe to our channel, Brunswick Firearms Reviews. That helps us keep going. So if you would be so kind, please go down and hit the subscribe button and also like our video. My name's Eric with Brunswick Firearms, and this was the Taurus G2C.